ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thursday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. Something a little different to start the show today. I want to focus on a couple of stories. And we're only going to have one guest this hour, so I'm going to ask you for your phone calls. And again, if you're listening at our great new affiliate, Big Talk 850, WFTL down in Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, or if you're listening on WCFO in Atlanta, News Talk 1160, or if you're listening at XM 244 or at Newsmax.com and watching me, hello, I'm waving to you right now. I want you to listen to these stories, and I want you to weigh in. And the number, toll-free, 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. And there's a story out of Miami. A 17-year-old boy named, or young man named Israel Hernandez Lach, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. They're calling him, he said that he was an award-winning artist. He was on the threshold of acclaim in Miami Beach in the art circles. He was a sculptor, a painter, a writer, a photographer whose craft was inspired by his home country of Colombia and his adopted city, Miami. Now, he sounds like a very bright, promising young man with a bright, promising future, and I will not dispute that. However, let's go on. He was also what they call a graffiti artist. See, the problem with graffiti is that it's against the law. That's just a minor little problem. So why somebody who's an award-winning artist, a painter, a writer, and a photographer feels the need to go break the law and run from cops and deal with cops on an adverse basis, on an adversarial situation, is beyond me. Having said that, let's move on. He sprayed colorful splashes of paint on the city's abandoned buildings while playing cat and mouse with cops. Gee, that cat and mouse with cops. Isn't that fun? Teach your child to play cat. I'm reading from a Miami Herald story by Julie Brown and David Noriega. He played cat and mouse with cops. That means he ran from police. He broke the law, tried to hide, and tried to beat the cops by leaving before they got there. But if they got there, he would run. Isn't that fascinating? Gee, every child should do that. Let's continue. It was while spray paint. Oh, here, let me read this part, which I'm surprised the authors of this article acknowledge. Talking about the cops, who, like many property owners, consider graffiti taggers to be vandals, not artists. So the cops and the property owners consider graffiti artists to be vandals, not artists. Do you think they consider them that because it's against the law? I continue. It was while spray painting a shuttered McDonald's earlier Tuesday morning that Hernandez Lach was chased down by Miami Beach police and shot in the chest with a taser. He later died. Okay. So right now you're thinking those son of a gun police. They shot this artist, this promising artist, photographer, award winner, a writer in the chest with a taser. They tracked him down, they hunted him down, and they shot him in the chest with a taser. Little explanation, if I may. Miami Beach Police Chief Ray Martinez said the department would like to extend its condolences to his family. All over the news, you have two of the dead teenager's friends, including one who says he was a, quote-unquote, lookout. He was a lookout. Who was he looking out for? The police. Why? Because this was law-breaking. But let's put that aside. He's an artist. He's just trying to practice his craft. So one of the lookouts and one other friend says that the officers exchanged high fives and congratulations after they tasered their friend. You believe that? I choose not to. I don't think that's how cops behave. I don't think they high-five each other when they take someone down. I've seen the reaction and talked to cops who have been involved in firing their firearms, and believe me, trauma is more like it. But that aside, he was on the ground and the cops were making jokes, said 19-year-old Thiago Souza. Felix Hernandez said he saw about 5 police officers chasing Hernandez and shoving him up against a wall, and then they saw him on the ground. Well, it's unfortunate that's not the way the police saw it happening at all. In fact, the police chief said Hernandez Latch was confronted by officers about 5 in the morning. Most 17-year-olds are up 5 in the morning, breaking the law, spray painting. He was vandalizing private property, and he fled, leading officers on a foot chase. It ended at 71st and Harding. When he was cornered by police, he ran towards the officers, ignoring commands to stop. The officers didn't shoot him, even though they don't know if he has a weapon. They tased him. They didn't even physically assault him or encounter him. They tased him to make sure they didn't have a physical altercation. He was hit once in the chest. He collapsed, at which point officers noticed he was showing signs of distress. He was transported by fire rescue to Mount Sinai Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Now, the autopsy results are not in as it relates to toxicology or any underlying conditions, such as a heart condition, a murmur, whatever he might or might not have had. Medical examiner did not rule on a cause of death because these further tests are pending. This is a tragedy because, again, you don't want to see a 17-year-old killed, but the police did not intend to kill him. Tasering is an acceptable use of police procedure, and he was tased, and unfortunately, for some reason, he died, which is not supposed to happen. But let me point out, the moral of the story should be, hey, don't break the law, and then don't run from cops, and don't disobey cops when they say stop. Put your hands up. It's happened too many times, but the media has already turned this into the evil cops high-fiving each other and celebrating that they killed this kid on the word of the lookout who was looking out while his friend was breaking the law. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So I'd love to know what you think about this. Already, police procedures being questioned. They're going to look into the use of tasers. Did the police overreact? Police don't know what this kid has, him and his 2 friend lookout people. It's 5 in the morning. They're spray painting a building. They're breaking the law. Could they have a gun? Could they be on drugs? Could they have a knife? How do they know? They tell the guy to stop. He runs. They corner him. He runs towards them. They didn't shoot him. 855-777-9660. Now, this horrific beating on the bus down in Pinellas County, Florida, in Gulfport, WFLA did a report. If you're watching at Newsmax.com, you're going to be able to see this video. I warn you, it's graphic, it's vicious. It's 3 black teenagers beating up a 13-year-old white child. And it's horrific. And the media won't talk about it. Al Sharpton won't talk about it. Civil rights leaders won't talk about it. They only want to talk about the bus driver, not Al Sharpton. They don't want to talk about this case at all. But the media only wants to talk about and focus on, should the bus driver have done more? How about the fact that 3 black thugs beat up a 13-year-old defenseless little boy? That can't get talked about. And I want to hear from you on that as well. 855-777-9660. Here's the report from WFLA TV down in Pinellas County, Florida. Here it goes.
Video from July 9th. The victim is the one sitting in the second seat of the Pinellas school bus with his head down. The violence starts as soon as he stands up to get off the bus. The bus driver, John Moody, yells for somebody to try to stop them and calls for help. The punches and kicks continue, and the victim falls between the seats. At one point, you can hear his screams. Then he again calls dispatch to verify the address.
No, you got to get somebody here quick. They're about to beat this boy to death over there. Please get somebody here quick. If they still do it, I know I can do it. But you got to get somebody in a hurry.
According to Pinellas school bus driver policy, the driver's first duty is to call dispatch and only has to step in if he thinks it's safe and he's not required to intervene. But in an earlier interview, Gulfport Police Chief Robert Vincent said Moody took no action to help the victim even after the teens left the bus.
It was clearly an opportunity for him to intervene and or check on the welfare of the children in this case, or the child in this case. And he didn't make any effort to do so. So that's what we want to bring to the attention of the prosecutor.
Gulfport police investigators met with prosecutors last week to turn over this video as evidence on a possible child neglect charge. Now it's in the hands of the state attorney's office to determine whether the school bus driver...
Okay, to see if he'll face charges. I don't care. I really don't care. He could not have stopped those thugs. They would have beaten him up too. He's an older man. He's in his 60s. You want him to have a heart attack? How come no one's talking about this black on white crime? If this were reversed, if it was 3 white kids beating a 13-year-old black child on a bus, you would have heard about it from Al Sharpton by now. 855-777-9660 on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, And if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Steve Malzberg with you, 855-777-9660. We're talking about two cases, both in Florida, one in Miami, the tasing death of a teen who was graffitiing up a vacated McDonald's, and also the beating by three black teenagers of a younger white teenager on a bus in Pinellas County, Florida. And again, nobody's talking about the fact that it was three blacks and one white. And I maintain if it were the other way around, this would be a huge racial issue. Why do white kids pick on black kids and beat them up? Let's go to the phones. We have Mike in Texas. Hey, Mike, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. What part of Texas, sir?
I'm driving on Interstate 20. I think I'm about 150 miles from El Paso.
Oh, great. Okay, well, thanks for weighing in. Appreciate it.
Thanks. I see these cops on the highway all day, every day, tearing cars apart, violating people's civil rights, and those cops did high-five and say Yahoo. I remember when the show Cops came out and I was just a youngster, I would see them after they would make the arrest, and they would all stand around and say, yeah, did you see how I tackled him? Did you see how I smashed his head in the ground? You know, they do that kind of stuff. They're corporate enforcers. When you have a police officer get behind you, do you feel safe and secure or intimidated and threatened?
Why would a cop be behind you, sir?
When a cop is behind you, following you in a car.
Well, why? Well, if he's following you, there must be a reason, and if you never know why he's following you. See, that's the problem. Your attitude going in is a recipe for an unfortunate disaster. When a cop is following you, if he's pulling you over, you get pulled over. You roll down the window. You say, yes, sir, no, sir, how far should I jump, sir? And you do what he says.
Really?
And if you have a problem after the fact, then you report him after the fact. No, sir, if
really?
you want to, really. Why? What would you do, sir? What would you do?
Call in, I'll tell you. I roll my window down about 1.5 inches and present my driver's license, and when he talks to me, I say, I don't answer any questions.
Well, good for you. That's great. So if he says, do you have drugs in the car? So if he says, wait a minute, Mike, let's have a conversation. So if he says to you, do you have drugs in the car or a weapon? You'll say, I don't answer any questions?
That's right. Or I'll say,
yeah, good for you, Mike. That's good for you. So you know what he'll do? He'll pull out his gun and he'll force you out of the car. And I guess that's what you're looking for, a confrontation.
Is that right? Is that what he'll do? Without any kind of reasonable
if he had a reason, I don't know what his well. First of all, Mike. First of all, I don't know why he pulled you over. But if he pulled you over and you're showing your let me finish, and you're showing your license, then he had reason to pull you over in his own mind, and he'll justify it in his own words. So I can't answer to that. But once he's pulled you over and you've shown the license, and if he asks, do you have a gun in the car, and you say, I'm not going to answer your question, I believe he then has every right to pull you out and search you and search your car.
Wow. Yeah, I knew the show kind of had this liberal twist.
Yeah, that's real liberal, my friend. Let me tell you something.
When people start licking the boots of the cops.
I know, Mike. Hey, Mike, how many times have you been arrested?
I've never been arrested.
How many times have you been pulled over by cops?
Dozens.
Yeah, and have you gotten tickets?
Nope, I usually don't get a ticket.
Usually don't. Okay, well, they must just not like you, I guess.
I don't know. Who knows? Man?
Yeah, and you seem like such a likable guy that I can't imagine a cop not liking you.
These guys, you know what? They don't even care if you do drugs now. You can do cocaine and get hired. And if you have a high IQ, they won't hire you. The more tattoos, the better.
I don't even know what you're talking about. All right, Mike, thank you for calling. Drive safely, though, and thanks for calling, and please do call again. Folks, again, it's such a recipe for disaster. This guy is aching for trouble. when a police officer pulls you over, again, I don't know why he pulled them over, but you got to do what cops say. You have a problem after the fact, report them. And that's what African-American leaders, quote unquote, should be teaching African-American kids and minority kids. Don't ever run from the cops. Just don't do it. If a cop says stop, you stop. Put your hands up, you put your hands up. Yes, sir, no, sir. You run. A cop doesn't know what you have. He pulled you over or stopped you or questioned you for a reason in his own mind. And maybe you fit a description of a bank robber. Maybe you fit a description of a rapist. Who knows why he stopped you? So he doesn't know maybe if you're that criminal. And you don't know. You know you're not a criminal, but you don't know why he stopped you. So to prevent a tragic outcome, you cooperate with the police officer. You say, yes, sir, you understand he's there to protect you and protect everyone else, and he's doing his job. If you make it confrontational, if you put reasonable doubt in his mind that you might have a weapon and might be a harm to him or to the public, he's going to treat you accordingly. Use your head, Mike, and everybody else. All right, 855-777-9660. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Crystal Wright. She's editor and publisher of conservativeblackchick.com, and she's going to weigh in, especially on the lack of reporting, the lack of any black so-called civil rights leaders talking about this beating by 3 black teens against a white younger teenager on that bus. And by the way, Mike says, I knew there had to be liberalism in this program. Mike, if you consider supporting the cops and using your head when cops approach you, liberalism, then call me a liberal. But I don't think you'll find much else to call me liberal about if you listen to the show. 855-777-9660. Steve Malzberg, right here. Want to hear from you on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
I love you, son, so it hurts when you say I hate you. I'm your mother. I'm tired of you disrespecting me when you don't get your way. I work hard to make sure you have everything you need. I should be able to ask you to get out of bed in the morning without a fight. So from now on, things are going to be different. I ordered the Total Transformation Program. We're not going to scream and fight anymore. I'm going to tell you what to do in a different way, and you're going to do it. You're not going to call me ugly names anymore, and if you do, you're going to get consequences that'll keep you from calling me ugly names. We're not going to do things your way anymore, son. We're going to do things the total transformation way.
Get the Total Transformation free. Just order the program, tell us how it works for you, and you can keep it for free. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520. Call now. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Joining us now for the first time is Crystal Wright, editor and publisher of conservativeblackchick.com. Hey, Crystal, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine. Glad to talk to you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's focus, if we can, because I've been talking about two cases. I know you were on hold a little bit the last half hour, and you heard me talk about the tasing incident in Miami, but also this bus beating. You know, it's gotten a lot of media coverage, but it's gotten media coverage because they're focusing on whether or not this bus driver should have intervened, should have done more, will be charged with child endangerment. And I don't see it that way. I mean, this is a 60-plus-year-old guy. He can't stop these 15-year-old kids who are beating this kid.
Yeah, and I didn't hear about it, actually. I think I saw Alan West tweet it, but I was tweeting there's another incident apparently where a young girl was also, you know, did you see about that? This black kid, he killed her and then put her in a trash can.
No, where is that? When did that happen?
I tweeted that earlier today.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
But yeah, no, when I first saw this, the 5, Greg Gutfeld, you know, he was right. He's like, you know, here we go. We have a situation where you have 3 black boys who are beating a white boy, and liberals are completely silent on it. Like he said, this has nothing to do with the bus driver.
Right.
If he would have made matters worse.
Absolutely. He probably would have got hurt himself, had a heart attack, something terrible would have happened.
All you have to do is look at the video. These boys are not only beating, like Greg Gutfeld said from Fox, you know, the 5, they're pulling up their saggy pants, all the stuff Don Lemon talked about, and he takes the other hand, pulls up the saggy pants with one hand on his behind, over his behind, then he punches the kid, then he stomps on the kid with his foot.
Yeah, no, it was a horrific beating, and I think Gutfeld also said, if I'm not mistaken, I happened to hear his commentary also. I think I watched it on online after the fact. I think he said that they were going to kill this kid. They weren't going to stop.
Well, look, here's what the police did. Okay, the bus driver was so traumatized. He said, he tells the 911 dispatcher, "No, you've got to get somebody here, quick.
Right.
They're about to beat this boy to death
right.
over here." And you see the bus driver going up to the kids, yelling at them. We all know that teenagers are very powerful. A 15-year-old, 17-year-old can overpower a 70-year-old. But this is a classic example about how the media, liberals, especially black liberals and race baiters like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, see what they want to see. They create the reality that they want to create. The fact is, all the research shows that there are more blacks in prison, more blacks committing violent crimes than whites, and we as a people only represent 13% of the population. So when 3 black kids kick almost, you know, I would argue they're trying to beat this white kid to death, that's like turn the other way. I don't see that. But let me tell you, if it was reversed and 3 white boys were kicking Trayvon Martin, a kid Trayvon Martin's age,
Oh,
the outrage.
Absolutely. As I said, we would have heard about it from Al Sharpton.
It's disgusting.
And that would have been the focal point of it all. And it's funny, I guess this kid, if Barack Obama had a son, this kid wouldn't have looked like him.
Right, but, Barack Obama is half white, although I call him black because he looks like, he's what people don't understand about, and I'm not mixed race, as people always are trying to tell me. Black people are always trying to tell me what color black I am. Both my parents are black, but, most people, I know people who have parents that, one's white, one's black, or whatever the combination is. Ultimately, a person identifies with the way they look. So Barack Obama grew up and identified himself as a black man. And Halle Berry does the same thing. You do ultimately choose the way you socialize because we are like animals in a way. Humans tend to, we group with like-minded people. We also group based on our appearance. There's nothing wrong with that. There is a certain sense of tribalism to how we are as Homo sapiens. But he's not saying, if I had a son, he'd look like that little white boy that was beat to death.
No, well, he wasn't beaten. He wasn't. Well, thank God he wasn't beaten to death. Let's.
No, but he was close to it. The boy has 2 black eyes.
Yeah.
I think he has a broken arm. The point is, the president of the United States shouldn't wait in incidents.
Right.
Last time I looked, Al Qaeda is regenerating itself, but he wants to talk about Trayvon Martin and a case that a jury found Zimmerman not guilty. So he was judged by a jury of his peers. What the president did is he said, don't have any confidence if you're black in our judicial system.
Right. No, and of course the Attorney General did the same thing when he said he was troubled by the verdict, and then set up a hotline to find any information. Right. If anyone knew anything that we could get this guy again, please let me know.
We don't need Eric Holder. If you're listening, why don't you do your freaking job, and why don't you prosecute terrorists as war criminals, not as civilians? Why don't you deal with that? And stop doing like these crazy things that are off the mark for the Attorney General, like voter ID laws.
All right, we're talking to Crystal Wright, editor and publisher of ConservativeBlackChick.com. Let me ask you one more, Crystal, and that was Oprah. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but I was a little taken aback because it was only the Jesse Jacksons of the world who I had mentioned, who went and mentioned Emmett Till in the same breath as Trayvon Martin and said Emmett Till is Trayvon Martin. And then I played the cut yesterday of Oprah saying that it's the same thing to her. It is exactly the same thing to her. And I sat there with my mouth open because how could anybody with any brains, unless they're, trying to race bait and stir up trouble like I believe Jackson and the others kind of want to do, why would Oprah think that? Does she really believe that?
Well, probably more than 2 things. First, I was like you. I was a bit horrified and shocked at her ignorance. And I think she knows darn well. I think the problem with Oprah is she's not relevant anymore. The show ended. She's trying to her own network. And now she's got a movie, The Butler, so she wanted to promote it. So she said, let me say something to make, the black race mongers happy and the black masses. Because Oprah, too, to me, she sunk to, and she took the low road on that one, because she, once again, is thinking, all black people think alike. All black people don't know their history. And it brought tears to my eyes when I talked about this on the Glenn Beck show this week. Because my parents, I grew up, and my parents, we had constant reminders of racism because both my parents grew up in the segregated South. They sat in at lunch counters. My mom will tell you heartbreaking stories of riding the bus as a 13-year-old from her ballet class. She was sitting in the back of the bus. A white man gets up and tells her to move, and she's already in the back of the bus. She refused to move, okay? So don't talk to me and my parents sitting in at lunch counters, my father being the only black in his class at the Medical College of Virginia, getting graded lower than the white students that he would help tutor. Okay, so you know what, Oprah? You suck, okay? And you're disgusting because you perpetuate the racial divide that young people who don't know Emmett Till, I'm not even going to, we probably don't have time.
No, I went through it in a brief synopsis.
You know
Emmett Till, he dared to talk to a white woman
but he didn't talk to her.
Said hello, whatever.
During the story, he went into the store to buy candy.
Right.
He got nervous. He whistled to calm his nerves because he would stutter. He was a stutterer. His mom taught him to whistle to stop him from stuttering and calm him down. He got killed for being black and stuttering. At a white woman.
And they took him out of his bed and gave him a horrific death and put a wire around his neck and threw him in a river. And that's Trayvon Martin. Wow.
Who actually fought. You know what? I'm going to say it on your show. I didn't say it when I was appearing on Dr. Drew. When I continue to get death threats from Black Americans. I think Trayvon Martin was a little thug in the making. Okay? Now, I don't think he deserved to die. I think Zimmerman was stupid for trying to, neighborhood watch people should watch. Okay? But remember, Zimmerman went back toward the car after he called the police. He wasn't defined when the police.
No, Crystal, I have ended relationships with liberal counterparts on this show that I would have on regularly because they continue to perpetuate that lie that he disobeyed the police and left the car when they told him not to. That was an absolute. Look, I had Mark O'Mara on a couple of weeks ago after the trial, and he said that's become an urban myth. And by the way, here's the reason. And again, I think it was an accident.
You know the evidence because
nobody followed the case like I did. But let me just say also this: you will not see a civil trial, a civil lawsuit filed against Zimmerman because the parents will not allow that information to come out about the. Exactly. First of all, another myth: he did not have iced tea with him.
No, it was fruit. It was Arizona fruit.
And you combine that with the Skittles and the cough medicine, and you got lean.
If people would take the time to go to the George Zimmerman, what's O'Mara's site? You have the URL.
Well, I don't know. All you got to do is go listen to my interview with O'Mara.
What I'm saying is he has a site. I think people need to do themselves a courtesy where I click through the evidence photos. Yeah. It's all on Mark O'Mara's site with the case, the George Zimmerman case. My point is it was Arizona fruit juice. You take Arizona fruit juice,
and Skittles
and Robitussin, any codeine-based cough syrup to make lean. All the text messages, the parents, you're right, aren't going to file a civil suit because it shows that Trayvon was a little thug. He called women hoes and bitches. He also wanted to learn how to get high. His friends is telling him how to make lean. He wanted a gun. He was not an innocent, and his parents really didn't care about him. Let's go there. They were not good parents.
Well,
the mom kicked him out of her house.
Well, there was one
the father's been twice divorced.
There was one interview, and I'm just going to say that this is not a reflection on Trayvon at all, but it's interesting. This is a reflection on the media. Anderson Cooper interviewed the stepmom of Trayvon Martin, who she said, I saw this. She was crying. She said, I raised him. I raised this young man. I was his mother. She said, and at the funeral, they made me sit in the 5th row.
I know my mom actually was telling me about this.
Nobody else booked this woman. Nobody.
Right. Well, listen to this, though. As I understand it, his second wife helped raise Trayvon because Trayvon was very young when Sabrina and Tracy got divorced.
Right.
So she said, I felt like a mother to this child.
Right. I saw her say this.
Right. So, and also, they've copyrighted phrases and stuff. The mom has. She's already copyrighted Save Trayvon and phrases.
Really?
Yeah. No, look, this is on all this. People were tweeting this last week or maybe a week and a half ago. And they got they got $1 million from the condo association. Right. I mean, I'm sorry, what do you call it?
It could be the condo, the homeowners association. Well, look, here's the bottom line, Crystal. They, whatever they could get as far as that goes. I mean, a wrongful death, whatever.
No,
that's
fine.
fine.
What I'm saying is, they're out everywhere. They have a foundation. They're doing more, sadly, since their child died than when they needed to be parents.
Well,
I mean, come on.
Okay, that's neither here nor there. The fact is, if they're doing good, if they're doing good after the fact and making some good out of this really tragic death.
How much you want to bet? We'll talk about this in a couple years, and they won't be doing good. They'll be profiting.
Well, I can't predict. Hey, Crystal, good to talk to you. You'll come back, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay, thank you. By Crystal Wright, ladies and gentlemen, and she is the editor and publisher of conservativeblackchick.com. Very interesting comments. Anybody want to weigh in on them? Feel free. 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. I should point out that I'm trying to think. Yeah. Everybody listening to the show right now, whether you're in Florida or Atlanta or on XM or watching on Newsmax, we're live right now. Of course, if you're watching it on Newsmax later, and we're not going to be, but if you're listening on XM or if you're listening in Florida or on 850 or 1160 in Atlanta, we are live. So call in and we'll take your calls. 855-777-9660 on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency. Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-910-3470. That's 1-800-910-3470. Call 1-800-910-3470.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920.
This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern-day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients, but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
Yeah. Just you get to watch me and see me wave at you. All right, welcome back. Steve Malzberg. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to have a bunch of great guests. Grover Norquist will be here. He's urging repeal of Obamacare. He's on the heading up the Obamacare Repeal Coalition, and he wants John Boehner and Mitch McConnell to somehow repeal it or postpone it for a year. We'll talk to Grover Norquist about that. We're also going to talk about spinning the law with Kendall Coffey makes his triumphant return, the Hassan trial. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about how the Department of how HUD. The administration's using HUD and statistical information, maybe changing a neighborhood by you, maybe changing your neighborhood. Yeah, so we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. How much could they legally do? But let's go to the phones at 855-777-9660. We have Robert in Florida. Hello, Robert. You're on the Steve Malzberg Show. Thanks for weighing in.
Hello, Steve. I'm a first-time caller. I've been listening to you for a while since you've been on XM.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So you're listening on XM right now?
Well, while you last, anyway, from what I'm hearing, they're taking you and a bunch of other people off. But,
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Comes,
that's what I was going to say. So here, do you have an iPhone?
Yeah. No, I'm not a conformist. I don't do the iPhone thing. Anything with I in it, no, I'm an Android user.
All right. Well, do you? Where in Florida do you live?
I'm just a little bit north of West Palm Beach.
North of West Palm. I don't know if you'll get WFTL on north of West Palm Beach, but. All right. Well, then listen. Then you got to listen on the computer. Since you're in Florida, go to BigTalk850.com, and you can hear the show that way. Okay.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I drive for a living, so I can call in on different things. But you might not like me after this conversation.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I like everybody. I'm an equal opportunity liker. Go ahead.
I know you say let's have a conversation, and I know you're behind there with the button. You got your finger on the button, so I would at least, if you give me the opportunity to
be. Let me be perfectly honest with you. I don't even have a button at my disposal. I swear to God. Right. I always used to, but in this show so far, I don't have a button. I don't know where the button would be to cut you up, but go ahead.
Okay, well, two things. First, there's this kid, the graffiti kid in down here. Now, no matter what the circumstances are, there's so many stories out of cops nowadays abusing their power, killing people for whatever reason because they feel they're threatened for whatever reason. But no matter what it is this kid did, okay, no matter how horrendous, how heavy, or how light, it didn't justify what happened.
Wait. We're talking about the Miami tasing.
Yes, the graffiti kid.
Okay.
Yes, he ran. Yes, he was breaking the law. Okay, so what? Kids do kids thing, and I'm not for it. I mean, I personally think graffiti, it's pretty cool looking. I wouldn't condone it. I just think it's kind of nice looking. Yes, it's wrong what they're doing, but it doesn't justify what happened.
All right, well, let me ask you a question. If they had tased him and arrested him and he was fine, would you have an objection?
No, not at all.
Well, he died by some. I don't want to diminish it, but he died. It was out of the norm. It's not normal for somebody who's tased and who's healthy to die.
It's not the first. There have been hundreds, if not thousands. Look it up of cases.
Thousands of tasings that have gone wrong and they've died. Thousands.
They've upped the power of these tasers. Where it's killing people, it's there. The facts are there.
All right, here. I don't believe that but let me just also say this. You say you say they were justified in tasing him. So then I guess we agree.
Well, neither one of us know the story. We're only going by what the corporate-controlled media is telling us.
Well, no, we're going by we're going by what the police are telling us.
Okay, well, to be honest with you, I only heard of it on your show and at a news broadcast before your show.
All right, but I'm telling, but
I
the quotes I read came from the chief of police and came from the kid's friends, one of whom was a lookout for his criminal activity.
Well, I mean, he wasn't robbing a bank or holding some kid hostage at gunpoint.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Rob, you and I both agree that they were justified in tasing him. So we agree. It's terrible what happened, but we agree on the fact that the cops had to do something. He was charging at them.
If he was cornered, I didn't really agree he should have been tased. If he was cornered, the cop could have tackled him. I mean, if did the cop head back? That's interesting. That's interesting. They said that they tased him because he was running. They said stop. He was cornered and he ran towards them. And rather than physically tackle him, and because he was very slight in build and whatnot, they decided to tase him. Right.
We could debate that.
I can understand that.
Robert, call me again, my friend. I want to get one more call in here, if I can.
I got another point.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh well, you had a caller a couple calls ago. I think he was a driver or something.
Yeah, Mike from Texas.
Yeah. I agree with them. The cops are not our friends. Okay, you do not say when they say jump. You do not say how high. They are not here for your friend. You do not lick their boots. You do not comply. You be respectful.
You do not comply with the cop. All right. You know what? I got to tell you, Rob. You and I could have different opinions, but when you sit there and you say you do not comply with a police officer who stops you, I think you're out of your mind. And anybody you would preach that to, you're setting up for trouble. And if you teach that to your kids, God forbid, God help them one day, they're going to get in trouble, and it's not going to be pretty. But I thank you for the call anyway, Rob. Thank you very much. Folks, I can't even fathom what he said because he believes it. I could tell from his voice. He's not trying to egg me on. Police are not your friends. You don't do what they say when they stop you. Really? You live by that credo, and you will not only probably get yourself arrested, but it's conceivable you'll get yourself killed. When a cop stops a car, understand this. You don't know why you're being pulled over. You're saying, I'm not speeding. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't doing anything. Why is he pulling me over? Maybe your car fits a description of a guy with a kid in the car who was kidnapped, or a bank robber, or a rapist, or a murderer. You don't know why you're being pulled over. And if that's the case, the cop doesn't know if you're the guy. And if he thinks you're the guy, he doesn't know if you have a gun. You want to avoid that miscommunication by doing what police say on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention seniors and baby boomers. A new website has been created just for you. SocialSecurityFree.com. At SocialSecurityFree.com, we reveal a weird trick that could help you add $152,000 to your Social Security payouts. For example, did you know how you file for Social Security can dramatically change the amount of money you collect? One simple step could add up to $1,000 to your monthly payouts. And other loopholes we found reveal 33 ways for big savings on your health care. At SocialSecurityFree.com, you will also discover how you could save up to 50% on your groceries, along with 49 other ways to save as much as $50,000 starting today. Newsmax says SocialSecurityFree.com is a critical resource for anyone over the age of 50. So go to SocialSecurityFree.com now to find out how you could add extra money to your Social Security checks. That's SocialSecurityFree.com.
Attention, if you've been classified as a high-risk driver due to DUI, DWI, or tickets for aggressive driving and are required to get expensive and hard-to-find SR22 auto insurance, then you must listen to this message because we can help. We're the largest insurance company in the U.S., specializing in SR22 auto insurance and focused on serving the needs of customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. President Obama weighs in on the issue of sexual assault in the military while speaking at Camp Pendleton, California. It was the final stop on his two-day West Coast swing. Nearly 3,000 Marines cheered President Obama as he took the stage Wednesday, but the crowd grew silent when Mr. Obama started talking about sexual abuse within the military. The Pentagon estimates that as many as 26,000 military members were sexually assaulted just last year.
We are going to work together, all of us, to stop these crimes of sexual assault and uphold the honor and the integrity that defines the finest military on earth.
The president also spoke about the forced budget cuts known as sequestration and blamed Congress, saying that the legislative branch failed to live up to the Marine Corps motto of Semper Fidelis, or always being faithful, by refusing to reverse those cuts. And for the third day in a row, there are new reports of more American drone strikes in Yemen. Local officials say at least 6 suspected al-Qaeda members were killed in this latest attack. Also, the Yemeni government says their security forces are turning up the heat on al-Qaeda militants after a terror plot targeting foreign embassies, ports, and oil and gas infrastructure was uncovered. That alleged plot appears to be similar to an attack that took place in Algeria back in January when gunmen stormed a gas plant, killing more than a dozen foreign workers. Experts say the increased drone strikes in Yemen may have been prompted by this suspected terror plot.
So we've got defensive measures in place around embassies, but we've got to take out operatives if we want to disrupt this plot long term. We might have done it in the past weeks. We might do it in coming weeks with drone strikes.
Meanwhile, back here in the United States, firefighters in Southern California are battling a wildfire that started yesterday and quickly spread to several communities. The fire has burned at least a handful of structures, including homes, as it's raced across thousands of acres in Riverside County. Mandatory evacuations are in place. Hundreds of firefighters are teaming up with air tanker planes and helicopters to try and get this blaze under control. And on a much more positive note, at least 3 people in 2 states are waking up Powerball millionaires. Wish it was me. The winners will split a jackpot of $448 million. One of the multi-million-dollar tickets was purchased at a supermarket in South Brunswick, New Jersey. The other ticket was sold in Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey. And the third ticket was sold in Minnesota. So a big financial gain there for New Jersey. Coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, more extreme weather. This time it's flooding in Missouri. At least 1 child is dead, and an update on the search for his missing mother next. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Congressman Steve Stockman, a guy not afraid to take on the leadership of his own party, what he's saying about the Republican leadership's role in the Benghazi investigation. Next.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs, hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
What is LigNet? LigNet is knowledge. LigNet is power. LigNet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is LigNet? LigNet is confidential. LigNet is sensitive. LigNet is security. What is LigNet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
And welcome back. Crews resumed their search for the mother of a child killed when floods in south central Missouri hit hard. The 4-year-old died when rising waters in the town of Waynesville swept away a car that he and his mother were both inside. His body was found Tuesday. The flooding also forced the closure of a stretch of Interstate 44, which is one of the busiest highways in the state. And during a Newsmax exclusive, we talk with Texas Republican Congressman Steve Stockman, who's been pushing for a special congressional investigation into Benghazi. Even with a recent terror plot revealed that may have targeted U.S. embassies, Stockman says that the administration has failed to improve security for diplomatic missions overseas.
It might happen again, and this is because this administration has stonewalled us in every way possible.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 8th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, our friend Kendall Coffey and I go spinning the law. We haven't done that in several weeks, but he's back. His case is over, and he will be able to join us to talk about the Hassan trial and much, much more. But as you know, staring us in the face is perhaps one of the biggest disasters this country has ever faced if it comes to fruition, and I hope it doesn't, but I'm afraid it may, and that's Obamacare. Joining us right now is Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. And hi, Grover. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. Delighted to be with you.
Well, good to have you back. I appreciate it. I hear the kids in the background. That's always a good thing.
Yes, we're wrestling kids today.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So the Obamacare Repeal Coalition. You're looking to have the Republicans and the Congress delay this for a year, or just get rid of it altogether?
Well, ultimately, the goal is to completely repeal every bit of Obamacare, and then to replace it with something that actually is useful for consumers. More competition, not less competition. More transparency, not less transparency. But right now we have a president who thinks of this as his personal success in life, since he doesn't have many others. And he is not going to sign a bill to eliminate Obamacare. We're going to take a different president for that. What we can do, and what about 40 different groups signed a letter, and we're just that idea was just endorsed today by the Republican chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Mr. Camp. It says, look, since the president has admitted that he's not ready for prime time Obamacare, and he needs to delay for a year his mandates on big businesses, let's delay the mandates on small businesses and individuals for 1 year. Let's delay the tax increases for a year, and let's delay all of the subsidies for a year. Basically, delay most of Obamacare for 1 year, all the particularly new ridiculous bits that we're supposed to just start this coming year. And I believe that this is the sort of reform delay that Obama could actually sign, looking the American people at the eye, and not feel completely humiliated. He is already, and we need his signature if we're going to do something. Okay, it's not I'm all in favor of passing another law in the House that says this thing goes away. Problem is the Democratic Senate doesn't sign the bill and the president doesn't sign the bill. But the president has already admitted that it's not ready for prime time. Senator Baucus, Democrat head of the Finance Committee in the Senate, said that there's going to be a train wreck. The head of the Obamacare exchanges for Connecticut said, I really wish we had another year to get this done. So if we delay it for a year, by law, not by the president selectively delaying some pieces of it. If we delay it for a year, it will make it easier to kill it in the future, but it's something that we could actually achieve. We could get the president's signature on because there's an interest he has. He doesn't want this thing to be blowing up in America's face as he goes into the 2014 elections. So we can use his fear of being defeated at the polls, the Democrats in the House and Senate, for a year's repeal or a year's delay. And I believe that a year from now, this Obamacare is still going to be a lousy idea, still won't work, but we will have been spared its implementation now, and we live to fight another day to, as you were pointing out earlier, make sure this never actually happens.
All right, so this does seem, and then that would make the 2014 election a referendum on whether or not basically to go forward. Although we'll come to this point next year. It'll be before the elections. Once again, we'll be faced with, October 1st as a basic start date for implementing most of the things. And it'll be before the election. So if the Republicans are going to try to defund it then they'd come up against the same problems they would run into now, which would be a possible shutdown of the government. So what I'm saying is, it's going to it won't even go so far until, because the election's November. So they'll have to, if they delay it, then they'll have to agree to start it before the 2014 elections if it only goes for 1 year. And then it'll be implemented, while the elections are taking place. And I think once it's implemented, it's never going to stop.
Well, a year from now, you're quite right. If we delay everything for a year, we come back. I believe the Republicans will do well in the Senate in 2014 and strengthen in the House. Then a year from now, we come back with a stronger Republican House, a stronger Republican Senate, and a president who's on his way out, and Democrats looking to run for president who are less invested in Obama's version of Obamacare. And yeah, I think we go back and probably the most likely good solution a year from now is another year's delay of implementation. It's a little bit like a guy who's on death row who keeps getting, commutation.
Yeah, reprieves. Yeah. The governor keeps calling. Yeah.
Well, it's better to get those calls and get another year than.
No, I would say absolutely, but I don't have confidence that Obama. This man will do it in your face just to be in your face. Now, let me ask you this: the alternative. Yeah. Is that the Republicans, and I don't think they will, in my view it's unfortunate, stand for something. Rally the country, rally their conservative base around this and say, hey, we're not going to be the ones closing the government down. We will not give the money to the IRS to get involved in health care. Now, if the president wants to close the government down over that, that's his problem. But here, American public, is why we cannot let this happen, and spell out the disaster and the train wreck and say it's not us shutting the government down. It will be the president shutting the government down. I know you can't get that message out through the media because they will have it the other way, but can't the Republicans stand for something as tremendous as this and say this is where we take our stand?
No, the answer is absolutely yes. And I have a daughter. One second. I've got a daughter who's just upset about something. Let me step away.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. We're cool now.
Okay.
She was upset, I think, at the idea of Obamacare being similar to put on the American people. And she just decided she'd had it. The Republicans have repeatedly voted in the House to repeal Obamacare and to chip it back. 9 of the votes that they've cast have actually passed the Senate, and the president has signed them. So when the president says there have been a bunch of meaningless votes against Obamacare, 9 of them drew blood. 9 of them changed the law to make it less bad. So this is another thing. Look, you put in a tree this year, 3 years from now, its roots are down there, it's tough to take it out. I would rather have a Republican president 3 years and a Republican House and Senate that has to pull out root and branch Obamacare that's only been in place for a year or two, not when it's been in place for 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
So there's an argument that delay makes victory easier later. Look, it's not a sure thing. Elections have costs. We lost the House. We lost the Senate. We lost the presidency. We have the House. We can stop new bad things. We can't make the other team sign anything they don't want to sign. And we should never plan on, we're going to leverage our majority in the House to force Democrats in the Senate to vote against their entire life and the president to sign a bill that's against his entire worldview. We wouldn't do that. If this were the other way around and there was a Republican president, a Republican Senate, a Democratic House, and the Democratic House said, do everything we want, we wouldn't say, okay. We'd say, to heck with you. So if you were on the other side of the chessboard, how would you play it? We need to constantly ask ourselves that. That's why I like the strategy, and it seems to be the emerging consensus. Delay it for a year. The president's already wanted to delay part of it for a year.
Well, what has Grover? What has the Democrat? I mean, have you gotten any Democratic congressional support on this at all?
Well, we have in the sense that Baucus has announced the whole thing's a train wreck.
Well, okay, right. Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
That's not a bad endorsement.
No, not at all. All right, Grover, yeah. I really appreciate your time, and go take care. How old's your daughter?
She's 4 years old, and she's out of around Lake Chautauqua, where it's just beautiful, a little cool, and I think it's time to go home today.
All right, great. Thank you for making an accommodation for us, Grover. Thank you. All right, Grover Norquist, ladies and gentlemen, president of Americans for Tax Reform, who wants to delay the implementation of Obamacare for a year and then hopefully get another delay for another year. That would be fine and dandy if it could happen, and we'll see if it will. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the new Jerusalem bureau chief for the New York Times, and is she pro-Palestinian? On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530. That's 800-460-1530. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-1530.
This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, you know, if you're a frequent reader of the New York Times, and I am not, I only read it when I have to or when I want to, and I don't want to all that often. You know the anti-right bias, but you also know traditionally about the anti-Israel bias that has been rampant and apparent for so many years, in my opinion, throughout the paper, especially on the editorials and the op-eds. And joining us now to talk about the latest is Adam Credo, senior writer for the Washington Free Beacon. Hey, Adam, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. When I saw this, I said, oh, boy, it's getting even worse. And let's actually start with something. Well, let's start with the New York Times Jerusalem bureau chief, Jody Ruderin. She's come under increased scrutiny from pro-Israel groups and the pro-Israel community for articles that many say, have a pro-Palestinian bias.
Yeah, that's right. She has, and she was installed into this position last year and quickly drew attention, something that I highlighted at the time. It was in the days before or even just after she was put into what is a very sensitive position given the region and everything that's taking place there. She reached out to several people that are really incredible critics of Israel that post anti-Zionist, anti-Israel propaganda on their websites, and she quickly came under fire for that and actually, I believe, apologized for it at the time, but did say she wants to talk to everyone. So that's just by way of saying that this is really not something new with this reporter. It's happened on many occasions, and she has often won plaudits from Israel's critics for her coverage, which shows you something too.
Absolutely, and I think that after you pointed out a misstatement in one of her recent pieces, the New York Times appended a correction to her story yesterday afternoon. So congratulations on that, where she misstated the U.S. position on West Bank settlements that Israel took during the '67 war.
That's right, she did, and they did run a correction to their credit after my article. And what she stated there was that the U.S., as well as the most of the world, considers these settlements illegal. Well, that's just factually inaccurate. That is not the United States policy. It hasn't been the policy for more than 30 years, and only briefly was the policy under Jimmy Carter, who as we all know, has taken a really firm position against Israel.
Yeah.
But that was quickly reversed by every successive administration, and even the Obama administration has gone to great lengths to not say that these settlements are illegal, to never use that language.
You know, we've all seen for years and years and years and years the rock throwing by Palestinian youngsters. They throw rocks at Israeli soldiers, and it's been deadly often, and rocks could be deadly, and that's why you can't take it lightly as an Israeli soldier. And she penned a 2,000-word profile on Palestinian rock throwers on Monday of this week, describing these assaults as, quote-unquote, a hobby and a rite of passage in Palestinian society. And the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, they spoke out against that.
That's right. They absolutely did. The IDF said that in just July 2013 alone, there's been 246 rock-throwing incidents, and these do hurt, maim, and sometimes kill Israeli civilians. They've been responsible for numerous violent and often deadly incidents. So to describe it in such a way that showed us as a hobby or a plaything or something that's very innocent, I think downplays the fact that this is a form of terrorism and a form of attack on innocent Jewish people.
We're talking to Adam Credo, senior writer for the Washington Free Beacon on the Steve Malzberg Show, and we're talking about the Jerusalem bureau chief for the New York Times, Jody Ruderin. I also want to bring up Thomas Friedman, who just wrote something yesterday in the paper where he incorrectly stated that Israeli settlers are the ones who killed former Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin.
That's right. It was, again, a flat-out inaccurate statement. That's not true. The person who did assassinate Rabin was from Herzliya, which certainly is not a settlement. It's a major and very well-known Israeli city. But that's not the only mistake that Friedman made, which is very interesting considering that he calls himself a Middle East expert. But he also made a mistake in talking about the boycott movement of Israel, in which artists and others are forced to not play concerts or other things along these lines. He said that the Animal singer, the band The Animals, that he had canceled a show. Well, that, in fact, was not true. The man was threatened, but he said he's ignoring these threats and played anyway. And the Times actually did run a correction on that, but not the piece about the settlers. Which
What the heck? So what could we insinuate is going on here, or what could we ascertain is going on here with the appointment of this Jody Ruderin, and these mistakes by Thomas Friedman, who should know much better? What do you think's happening?
Well, it's interesting. It's either lazy fact-checking or there is some sort of bias, or the people that they're talking to, their sources, are pointing them in a very, very wrong direction. And that's something that a reporter has to be careful about, to fact-check their sources and to look at their own, the reality of the situation. And, in Friedman's case, it's so interesting.
We got about 20 seconds, so go ahead.
Well, with Rabin's assassin, the New York Times made the same error in 2005 and was forced to correct it.
You should read his own paper, I guess. All right, listen, Adam, good work, and thank you. We'll speak to you again.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
It's Adam Credo, senior writer for the Washington Free Beacon, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Yeah. You know what they say about the New York Times. I don't have to repeat it. When we come back, he's back. And better than ever, so I hear. Kendall Coffey will join us, and we will go spinning the law on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message, because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, since the tape froze, I'm going to do it. Spinning the law, spinning the law, spinning the law, spinning the law. With attorney Kendall Coffey. See, Kendall, I tried.
You got a fantastic future.
Oh, I'm telling you, want to represent me in my rock and roll career? Absolutely.
I'll do it on a percentage.
Hey, welcome back, sir. How are you?
Great to be back. Thanks for having me, Steve.
My pleasure. Famed attorney Kendall Coffey, author of Spinning the Law, and we do this segment for those of you who just joined us this week in WFTL, Big Talk 850 down in Florida, for instance, down in Miami and Fort Lauderdale area. We do this with one of your hometown folks every Thursday when we can at this time. All right, let's talk about a couple of things, and let's start with the it really is, to me, a circus and such a travesty of justice going on down at Fort Hood, Texas. The military judge overseeing the trial of admitted gunman Major Nadal Hassan told his defense attorneys today that they cannot drop out of the case. Yesterday, they requested that they be relieved of their duties as backup attorneys because Hassan is representing himself because they said that he wants to die. He's working with the prosecutors to get a guilty verdict, and that they believe it's tantamount to helping him commit suicide. But the judge said, you have to stay. What? No. What good are they if that's how they feel?
Well, it's a terrible dilemma for the lawyers, but the judge is probably doing what she has to do. The reality is that this is an inevitability. We know how this trial is going to turn out. I think we know how the sentence is going to turn out, but there is a track record of cases like this in the military justice system where there are years and years of appeals and a fair number of reversals. So even the most clear-cut imaginable case for the death penalty, and this seems to be just that, has a judge being mindful, properly mindful of avoiding errors. One of the realities is constitutional right to represent yourself. There's just no getting around that. So she's got to let him represent himself. On the other hand, she's trying to at least have lawyers standing by so that if he's got questions about legal issues, procedural issues, he can indeed have standby counsel. That's a feature that judges have insisted upon properly. You remember the case of Zacharias Moussaoui,
yeah,
the card-carrying of Al-Qaeda, in effect. Same dilemma for the judge. He insisted on representing himself. There was standby counsel there. In the civilian system, at least Moussaoui was able to plead guilty to the capital terrorism offenses and actually pled guilty, so that the court did not have to go through weeks and weeks of testimony to prove up his commission of the crimes. In the military system, as a capital case, they can't accept a guilty plea. So we have weeks of what has to be an ordeal for everybody involved. But, Steve, it's going to get to the right place, and at least it vindicates the huge amount of legal rights that people have in this country, even accused terrorists.
Yeah, and, we talked to Staff Sergeant Manning, Sean Manning, who was shot 6 times and was facing the possibility, and in fact he was supposed to do it yesterday, but because they had that early dismissal yesterday, he may be doing it right now, faced the prospect of, like others, of being cross-examined by the man who shot him. I mean, that's where this whole thing gets so bizarre, and what most people don't realize, as you said, is that he did plead guilty. He wanted to just plead guilty, but you're not allowed to, so that's why we're going through all this. But there's it's just a bad taste in my mouth. Just think of the witnesses who have to face this guy and try to control themselves.
Well, and of course, it's got to be awful for the victim witnesses. Ted Bundy represented himself. We know how that turned out.
Yep.
But one of the features, though, that I think deserves attention with respect to the victims is, so far the surviving victims and the families of the murdered victims are not being accorded the status that would increase the benefits if this were recognized as a crime of terrorism. If it were a crime of terrorism, then in effect the murdered victims would be soldiers who were killed in combat, because we do have a war against terror, and people like Hassan are at war against us for reasons which frankly mystify me. The government has taken the position that this is a workplace rage killing rather than the actions of a terrorist, and we know that Hassan was communicating with Anwar al-Awlaki, the
cleric,
terrorist,
yep,
who was eventually killed in a drone strike. There's every reason to believe that he was motivated by terrorist hatred of us. He was trying to kill soldiers who were being deployed overseas, including to Afghanistan. So why this is not seen as what it is, an act of a terrorist, murder of a terrorist, and why our fallen soldiers and their survivors and those who are wounded or maimed are not getting the full level of benefits they're entitled to. Steve, I don't get that.
Yeah, well, we've done a lot on this, Kendall, and it's a travesty. We're going to do some more on it. And the fact of the matter is, the White House or the government's excuse is, if the president, if they classified this as an act of terror, it would deny him somehow his due process, which I think is kind of insane. In fact, the president alluded to this in his speech on terrorism 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, and actually said, and we've played the soundbite as recently as yesterday, that sometimes you have someone in the United States who is influenced by outside jihadists, and they said, which is what seems to have happened at Fort Hood. So, and I asked Sean Manning if that gives him some ray of hope, and he said, well, maybe a little, but they're suffering a great injustice by this politically correct game that our administration's playing.
And the excuse I heard is, well, if he were treated as a terrorist, he'd have to be shipped off to Guantanamo. Well, that's not real.
Yeah.
We tried plenty of terrorists, including Moussaoui, including many other names we could talk about, in the civilian courts in this country. So I'm mystified. You're mystified. Maybe at some point, hopefully, the administration will change its policy, or at least come up with a better explanation.
Well, absolutely. Hopefully, these people will get what's coming now. Let's move on to one more. We're talking to Kendall Coffey here on the Steve Malzberg Show. The Obama administration is now going to use, apparently, housing, HUD, Department of Housing, Urban Development, in an effort to diversify neighborhoods. This, a lot of people claiming this is tantamount to social engineering. They're going to impose a new rule that would allow the feds to track diversity in every American neighborhood and then push policies to change those that it deems to be discriminatory. The policy is going to be called Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing. Say that 3 times fast. And it's going to require HUD to gather data on segregation, discrimination in every single neighborhood, and then try to remedy it. How far could they, without Congress, go?
Well, I don't think there are 2 phases to this. The first one seems to be information gathering on diversity, on discrimination in neighborhoods. And they may have a lot of the core data, at least with respect to demographics, based on a census. So the assembly and the configuration of information is one thing. I don't think that becomes an issue for Congress or the courts. But then what do they do with it, and where do they go? For example, they're going to retool zoning laws, which is one of the things they've talked about in very amorphous terms. Well, zoning laws are a local matter. And frankly, the federal government is not in a position, legally or otherwise, to be adjusting local zoning laws. Short of approving actual discriminatory intent. That's the standard, which, of course, I don't think they're going to be in a position to prove in all but the most extreme cases. They're not in the business or in a position to retool the zoning laws. They may be talking about it, but whenever they get to the stage of actually implementing things, I am extremely skeptical. I've read about they're sort of tossing out the possibility that it's going to affect housing finance policy. Well, if you're going to give racially based preferences or diversity-oriented preferences in terms of housing finance subsidies, in other words, giving more money based on ethnic or racial considerations, is that what they're going to talk about down the road, Steve?
Well, yeah, that's...
Does anybody have a lawyer to know that that's going to have plenty of constitutional objections if they try to go in that direction? So I think that part of what they're talking about, fine, collect the data, analyze it, come up with a thoughtful assessment of how we are. Take the country's temperature in terms of diversity. That may be legitimate. But to start retooling, engineering, changing neighborhoods using the federal power, that is a stunning thing to comprehend, and one that has more legal problems than you can shake a stick at.
I would agree. My fear, though, is if they ever do that, I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to look like by that time. And if Obama gets another appointee or 2, I'm just afraid they would just sign off on whatever it is that he put into place, and our nation will once again be changed, forever.
Well, You recall there was a lot of controversy many years ago with respect to what they called cross-busing to effectuate school desegregation.
Right, sure.
And it was all based on a sociological report and studies. There was a lot of ordeals and a lot of expense for a lot of communities. And yet, at the end of the day, the report card on all of that is very, very uncertain. I don't think there's a good track record for really achieving these kind of things. I'm not talking about the removing barriers to discrimination. We all agree with that. This country has passed the question of whether there should be discrimination at any level. But you're talking about something very, very different now. And the track record of success for the federal government getting in and redefining neighborhoods and revising for the good the way people live is a very slim track record.
Well, good, and I hope it stays that way. And I thank you, Kendall, as always. Great talking to you, and have a great week, and hopefully we'll reconvene next Thursday.
And I love your singing voice. I want to hear more of it.
You don't. Believe me, you don't. But thank you. Kendall Coffey, ladies and gentlemen, author of Spinning the Law, of course, and that book, by the way, which is, it's got to be 3 years old by now, at least 4 years old maybe. Kendall, so he doesn't come on to plug the book. I'm the only one who mentions it, but the segment is called Spinning the Law. And in that book, though, all the great cases that he was involved in after the 2000 election with Bush v. Gore and also Elian Gonzalez, and just a wonderful read if you love the law and you love the cases. Anyway, so what's going on here, what the Obama administration is trying to do, basically what they would love to do is say, hey, what do you got, 98%? Chappaqua, New York, where Hillary Clinton lives, is one of the whitest towns, areas in all of the United States of America. Statistically, at least it was a couple of years ago. So she would have to be the first one to have her neighborhood, if you will, change. But imagine the federal government coming into your neighborhood, changing zoning laws and saying, wait a minute, you got too many white people here. Or you got too many black people here. You got to put some black people here, some white people here, some Hispanics here. Are you kidding me? I know we no longer live in the United States of America that I grew up in. We no longer live in the United States of America that existed under George W. Bush. But is this where we're headed? Is this the ultimate game plan? There's a survey out about who believes in the American dream and who believes the American dream is dead, and more Republicans. Here it is. More Democrats than Republicans. 53% of Democrats say the American dream is dead. 27% of Republicans say the American dream is dead. But what's the American dream? Barack Obama recently, I said this yesterday while talking about the Kardashian and her famous husband, said that that's bad because people watch this and they all now want big houses and they all want lots of money and lots of cars and lots of jewelry. And the president said, I'm paraphrasing, but this is the gist of what he said. The president said, the American dream used to be a good, nice house, a little, a nice, safe job, a good education. No. That's basically what most people had. But the American dream is to be as successful as possible. The American dream is to push the limits, have that house, have 2 houses, have the 3 cars, become a millionaire. That's the American dream. When you see someone who's a CEO of a successful company, you say they are living the American dream. And there's nothing wrong with it, but not the people in the row houses on the side street. They're not living the American dream. But you see, it's Obama's mission to dumb us all down, especially when it comes to what America is, the greatness America offers, dumb down and demonize success and wishing for success. When they talk to kids in colleges, graduations, what do they say? Both Michelle and Barack Obama, Don't go for the big house. Don't go for the big high-paying job. No, you don't need the corner office. Since when do we tell our kids and our graduating high school and college people, don't reach for the stars? The American dream used to be a little job, a little house, a little security. No! Now that's what the American dream is becoming. Just like work is becoming part-time. He has fundamentally changed America like he set out to do. But he's not finished. He's not finished. Coming back. 855-777-9660. You want to weigh in? 855-777-9. Do you like your neighborhood? How would you like the government to come in, the federal government, to come in and say, we don't like where you live because everybody looks the same, and we're going to change that on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind, to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
Newsroom during the commercial breaks, I eat too many nuts. Dr. Crandall says we should eat nuts, so I eat nuts, and then I get on the scale when I get home. Nuts are good, but they're very fattening. It's a good fat, but they're fattening. And everybody around here is gaining weight, and I'm telling you it's because of the nuts. Don't say I'm nuts. Anyway, so I'm watching CNN, and they got this guy from Slate, Slate.com, and Slate.com will no longer say the name Redskins when talking about the Washington Redskins. And the owner of the Redskins in response says, we will never change the name of the team. Good for him. You know, I got to tell you, this is such nonsense. Such nonsense. What happened? You know, what about the Atlanta Braves? Cleveland Indians. You know, it's the first team that capitulated to this, I think, were the St. John's Redmen. They became the Red Storm. Remember that? You probably don't. Yeah, they used to be the Redmen. But you know, what always got me was big liberal, Ted Turner, right? Founder of CNN, Jane Fonda, traitor, in my opinion. They would be at the Braves games together because, of course, he owned the Braves. And they'd be doing the tomahawk chop. It goes like this. You hold your hand out in front of you with the palm facing, like say your right hand, your palm's facing in, one arm, and you pound your arm like you're chopping with a tomahawk, and you go, ooh, 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 ooh. And Ted Turner and Jane Fonda would get up with the rest of them and do it. And that's fine. And to quote George Carlin, and dandy, fine and dandy. That was great. He wasn't a bigot. He wasn't a racist. He wasn't change the name, stop the tomahawk chop. No. But the Washington Redskins, and then, you know, they'll selectively pick and choose who's bad, who should change, what they have. But again, it always amazed me, not surprised me, not shocked me, because I know what's going on. But it always amazed me. I would relish watching Ted Turner and Jane Fonda get up in Atlanta at the stadium and do the tomahawk chop. And then I'm thinking, these are two of the biggest liberals in the world. How do they justify that? And the answer is, they're never called upon to justify that. Limousine liberals are the biggest hypocrites in the world. Whatever they do, they preach the opposite of what they do, and they're never called on it, because who's going to call them on it? The liberal media? No. All right. We're coming back. Hour number 3 on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out. because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. President Obama weighs in on the issue of sexual assault in the military while speaking at Camp Pendleton, California. It was the final stop on his two-day West Coast swing. Nearly 3,000 Marines cheered President Obama as he took the stage Wednesday, but the crowd grew silent when Mr. Obama started talking about sexual abuse within the military. The Pentagon estimates that as many as 26,000 military members were sexually assaulted just last year.
We are going to work together, all of us, to stop these crimes of sexual assault and uphold the honor and the integrity that defines the finest military on earth.
The president also spoke about the forced budget cuts known as sequestration and blamed Congress, saying that the legislative branch failed to live up to the Marine Corps motto of Semper Fidelis, or always being faithful, by refusing to reverse those cuts. And for the third day in a row, there are new reports of more American drone strikes in Yemen. Local officials say at least 6 suspected al-Qaeda members were killed in this latest attack. Also, the Yemeni government says their security forces are turning up the heat on al-Qaeda militants after a terror plot targeting foreign embassies, ports, and oil and gas infrastructure was uncovered. That alleged plot appears to be similar to an attack that took place in Algeria back in January when gunmen stormed a gas plant, killing more than a dozen foreign workers. Experts say the increased drone strikes in Yemen may have been prompted by this suspected terror plot.
So we've got defensive measures in place around embassies, but we've got to take out operatives if we want to disrupt this plot long term. We might have done it in the past weeks. We might do it in coming weeks with drone strikes.
Meanwhile, back here in the United States, firefighters in Southern California are battling a wildfire that started yesterday and quickly spread to several communities. The fire has burned at least a handful of structures, including homes, as it's raced across thousands of acres in Riverside County. Mandatory evacuations are in place. Hundreds of firefighters are teaming up with air, tanker planes, and helicopters to try and get this blaze under control. And on a much more positive note, at least 3 people in 2 states are waking up Powerball millionaires. Wish it was me. The winners will split a jackpot of $448 million. One of the multi-million-dollar tickets was purchased at a supermarket in South Brunswick, New Jersey. The other ticket was sold in Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey. And the third ticket was sold in Minnesota. So a big financial gain there for New Jersey. Coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, more extreme weather. This time it's flooding in Missouri. At least one child is dead, and an update on the search for his missing mother next. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Congressman Steve Stockman, a guy not afraid to take on the leadership of his own party, what he's saying about the Republican leadership's role in the Benghazi investigation. Next.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
And welcome back. Crews resumed their search for the mother of a child killed when floods in south central Missouri hit hard. The 4-year-old died when rising waters in the town of Waynesville swept away a car that he and his mother were both inside. His body was found Tuesday. The flooding also forced the closure of a stretch of Interstate 44, which is one of the busiest highways in the state. And during a Newsmax exclusive, we talk with Texas Republican Congressman Steve Stockman, who's been pushing for a special congressional investigation into Benghazi. Even with a recent terror plot revealed that may have targeted U.S. embassies, Stockman says that the administration has failed to improve security for diplomatic missions overseas.
It might happen again, and this is because this administration has stonewalled us in every way possible.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 8th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Terrorists depend on the idea that we're going to be terrorized, and we're going to live our lives, and the odds of people dying in a terrorist attack obviously are still a lot lower than in a car accident, unfortunately.
Sure. And Putin seems to me like one of those old school KGB guys.
Well, he headed up the KGB.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Our ports, the Panama Canal is being widened so that these big super tankers can come in. Now, that'll be finished in 2015. If we don't deepen our ports all along the Gulf, places like Charleston, South Carolina, or Savannah, Georgia, or Jacksonville, Florida, if we don't do that, those ships are going to go someplace else.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. We touched on this yesterday. There was President Obama putting both feet in his mouth 3 times. And according to our good friends at Newsbusters, ABC's Good Morning America, CBS's This Morning, and NBC's Today Show, the day after this, which was yesterday, Wednesday morning, just didn't have time to mention any of it. Can you imagine George Bush? Now you're saying, what the heck am I talking about? Well, one bite we played yesterday, you just heard part of it in that cut. He talks about how, more people die in car accidents than from terrorism, unfortunately. That's what he said. That's what he said. Now, I said yesterday that in reality, he was probably trying to say too many people are dying in car accidents, but he didn't say it that way. If George Bush had sat next to Jay Leno and said that, let me tell you something, folks. We would have heard about it over and over and over again. But he finds it unfortunate that more people die in car accidents than from terror. That's what he said. I know what he probably meant, but that's what he said. Not newsworthy. Nah. Then he said that Putin once ran the KGB. Putin did not once run the KGB. He was in the KGB, but he did not run it. Leno says Putin reminds me of some guy from the KGB, and Obama says, well, yeah, he ran the KGB. No, he didn't. No, he did not. Number 3 in that video. Did you hear this smartest man on the face of the earth talk about the Gulf Coast and how we have to widen the ports for the new humongous ships? The Gulf Coast of our country? Savannah, Georgia? What else did he say? I want to get it straight here. Charleston, South Carolina? And Jacksonville, Florida? The Gulf Coast? Let's play that thing again so you can hear all 3 things I just said. And you'll see them in a new light, hopefully, or you'll hear them in a new light. Or you'll hear them in a new, this will be 3 again. Listen to this guy.
Terrorists depend on the idea that we're going to be terrorized. And we're going to live our lives, and the odds of people dying in a terrorist attack, obviously, are still a lot lower than in a car accident, unfortunately.
Sure. And Putin seems to me like one of those old school KGB guys.
Well, he headed up the KGB.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Our ports, the Panama Canal is being widened so that these big super tankers can come in. Now, that'll be finished in 2015. If we don't deepen our ports all along the Gulf, places like Charleston, South Carolina, or Savannah, Georgia, or Jacksonville, Florida, if we don't do that, those ships are going to go someplace else.
Yeah, those ships are going to go someplace else. He thinks the Gulf is Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. My God, this is the President of the United States. I don't know what to say. If I was CBS, ABC, or NBC, I'd say nothing. Because that's what they said. Nothing. Because this is the most brilliant man ever to grace us with his presence. And by the way, saying what I'm saying is really racist, isn't it? I'm just pointing out his mistakes because he's black, right? Unbelievable. Oh, there's more. Whoa! He confused, as we told you yesterday, the Winter Olympics with the Summer Olympics. So in the course of 2 minutes, or I don't know how long actually in the interview, but in the course of that show, remember in 2009 he went on Jay Leno's show and talked about how he bowled a 120, and then he said it was like I was in the Special Olympics. Duh-oh. He had to apologize for that one. He hasn't corrected himself on any of these. And he talked about, with the Special Olympics, he talked about the wrong events, being in the wrong games. He talked about gymnastics and the balance beam and the swimming for the wrong games. But this guy's such a sports fan. Oh, I forgot. He called Comiskey Park Kaminsky Field. Remember, big White Sox fan. Huge White Sox fan. It'd be like a Yankee fan calling Yankee Stadium Yankee Park. Okay? And, of course, he called the Miami Heat the Miami Heats fairly recently. I mean, the list goes on and on. Why do I even bother? Why do I even bother? The Gulf Coast, Savannah, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, and Charleston, South Carolina. That's the new Gulf Coast. In the new abomination, he said he'd fundamentally change America, and he's changed the Gulf Coast. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Here it is. And if Russia wants to uphold the Olympic spirit, then every judgment should be made on the track or in the swimming pool or on the balance beam. And people's sexual orientation shouldn't have anything to do with it. He got the wrong Olympics. Those aren't the Olympics that are going to be held in Russia. But he's the president of the United States. He's Barack Obama. He's the smartest man in the world. Shh. And you can't be racist and point it out now because, you can't do that. Sickening, sickening, sickening stuff. When we come back, we're going to take a look at education in the Hispanic community with a group that has a lot to say about that. It's the Hispanic Council for Reform and Educational Options. Julio Fuentes, President and CEO, will join us right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide. At bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I was struck by some results statewide in New York when it comes to education, how test scores for the regions have dropped significantly because they changed the test, and math and reading. We talk about New York City, for instance. About 30% of the kids are proficient in reading and math. And education is something I think George Bush had it right, the bigotry of low expectations when it comes to education. Our country's education system is broken. It's severely broken. It's pathetic. It's horrific. Now you got a guy, Cory Booker, running for Senate in New Jersey to replace Frank Lautenberg. Thank you, Chris Christie. He's probably going to win. Newark, New Jersey has some of the worst education in the world. It's not Cory Booker's fault, but he's been mayor there for a number of years now. He hasn't done anything, and I was going to sit in the U.S. Senate. And what's he going to be for? Pouring more money and more money and more money in the status quo, and things only get worse. Joining us now to talk about specifically the problems of Hispanic education in this country is our next guest, Julio Fuentes, President and CEO of Hispanic Council for Reform and Educational Options. Hello, Julio. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I was a little surprised to learn. I mean, I know, again, inner city schools, they stink all over the country, and a lot of minorities live in the inner cities, et cetera. But I know that the Hispanic community, and again, nothing's monolithic, but the Hispanic community as a whole, and you could speak to this better than I, values education, puts such a strong value on education and getting ahead through education, that I was surprised to learn through your group that often Hispanics face higher school dropout rates, more likely to attend a disadvantaged school, which is not necessarily anybody's fault, lower overall academic achievement, and less likely to finish college. Why is that?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a reality out there, and it's something that I've been living since I've been involved in this education reform movement as a whole. And yes, we do value education. Actually, we did a poll last year that showed that education, right behind the economy, was the most important topic of discussions that the Latino community wanted to hear from their elected officials. Immigration was number 4 or 5 on the list. So education is definitely tops. Unfortunately, the problem lies within our communities that just don't have choice, that they're, unfortunately, because of their economic situation, are just tied up to that failing public school that's right down the road because it just happens to be the zip code that they live in. And that's what we fight for day in and day out at Hispanic Edu.
Is school choice?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
We believe that the parents should have the right to choose the best quality education for their children, whether it's another public school, a private school, homeschool, charter school, whatever it may be. But school choice is definitely and it's and then again, it's not the silver bullet that's going to cure the crisis that you just mentioned leading into this discussion. But in states like Florida, Arizona, we have been moving the needle a little bit, and there's still a lot more work to do. And that's what we're doing with this new initiative that we have called Futuro 2020.
Right. I was going to ask you about that, and I will ask you about that. But, of course, what you run up against are the traditional Democratic supporters in the teachers union, which makes it almost impossible for Democrats to support the kind of change that's necessary to allow parents to pick and choose, to allow schools to succeed and fail, to allow good teachers to succeed and move up, and bad teachers to be fired, which would be the same in any business. And we entrust our most precious commodity of every race to the public school system, and it's like the fix is in.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of my job is in my opinion, politics should not play a role in the role of a child, of raising a child and having the best quality education. But it's unfortunate that we got to go through that process. We have to go through, state by state and kind of look at the lay of the land and seeing who's Republican, who's Democrat, who's kind of leading that state Senate. And it's unfortunate because we are talking about children at the end of the day. But with this movement again that we're creating with Futuro 2020, it's all in the voice of the people.
Well, talk about Futuro 2020, the initiative. What is it all about?
So Futuro 2020 is a national awareness campaign that we launched July 1st up there in D.C. And if I could point out real quick, I mean, yes, Hispanic Creo is an organization that focuses on our Hispanic community, but this is an American crisis that we have in our hands. An uneducated, workforce is not just a Latino issue. We're talking about an American crisis, like I said. But Futuro 2020 is a national awareness campaign that we are looking to build armies of parents, teachers, grassroots organizations, tops organizations, to raise more awareness of this crisis that we find ourselves in today, and more importantly, find a solution, or at least find common ground that we can walk down together, and to draft a policy statement that we could share, throughout this nation.
Do you see it is an America's problem? You're absolutely right, and I think that's great. The inclusiveness is great, and obviously the more people involved, the bigger the project, the better the chance of success. But do you see this? I mean, in reality, is this not? Does it not break down along political lines for the most part, where Republicans and conservatives would be within your community would be in favor of this kind of thing, and Democrats would not?
Well, yes. I mean, if you just lay it down as simple as that in black and white, it is a party line, debate. But
so, do Republicans have that opportunity to come in here and, as we hear so much about? I mean, the media would have us believe that the Hispanic community, and you don't speak for the Hispanic community, nobody does, but the media would have us believe that they do, and the Democratic Party would have us believe that they do, and that the utmost, the matter of utmost importance to the Hispanic community, and the only way Republicans can gain favor with the Hispanic community is through comprehensive immigration reform, when in fact, the Pew Research Center did a study of the people leaving the polls in 2012, Hispanics, and they found that was 4th or 5th on the list.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And it's an uphill battle in new states that we go into work in. But for example, states like Florida, we do have 97% support of the entire Hispanic caucus on our education reform initiatives that we have been putting in place there. Arizona slowly but surely seems to be turning that road. And again, when you bring it back home, whether you're talking to that parent, that business owner, or that elected official sitting in their office, literally just talking about the crisis. And if every time I seem to walk into one of these offices with a child or a parent that's going through the struggle that I just explained earlier, it's kind of tough to really part from your heart and
absolutely.
All right, unfortunately, we still see it, but
Well, I should also point out to the folks that you are of Cuban descent. You got your degree in business administration from Iona, not too far from where I'm sitting. I'm up north a little bit, and that's located in New Rochelle. And we appreciate you coming on. Just tell folks real quick how they could get more information about your endeavor with Futuro 2020.
Well, I would encourage folks to go visit futuro2020.org. Read a little bit more about it, and of course follow us on the Facebook and Twitter and the whole social media campaign that we currently have going on.
Okay, and I will follow you, and I hope in return you'll follow me a little later on when I get home tonight. So thank you very much, and let's keep in touch and keep informed on how we could help make this a reality.
I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Julio Fuentes, ladies and gentlemen, President and CEO of Hispanic Council for Reform and Educational Options. And again, what he's doing, focusing on the Hispanic community, which is his community, and being inclusive about it and saying we realize other communities are involved as well or need to be involved as well, and welcoming them. That is so important, and it's so important. I mean, folks, education, it is, when I went to the New York City public school system, it was pretty good. But it's awful now, and there are public school systems around the country that are much worse. And nothing gets better because of the teachers' unions and the Democrats being enslaved by the teachers' unions. Poor choice of words. I didn't mean anything racial by it. You know what I mean. Democrats can't fight for change, can't say, hey, you can't demand standards and judging and grading teachers or whatever because the unions won't like it. They won't contribute to their campaigns. Who suffers? The kids. The kids, the black and Hispanic and minority kids in this country. And it's disgusting and it's disgraceful and it's getting worse and worse. And the Democrats say throw more money and more money and more money and more money. No results. It's wrong. We're coming back. Monogamy on the Steve Malzberg Show. Should humans be monogamous? We'll talk about it.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you're a baby boomer or senior, please listen closely to this important message. Politicians in Washington are quietly plotting to decrease your Social Security payments drastically, and they want to do it soon. In fact, despite rising prices at the gas pump, grocery store, and doctor's office, retirees have received a mere 1.3% annual increase to their Social Security checks. Meanwhile, food stamp recipients have seen their payouts increase over 30% under the Obama administration. That's shocking. So when we stumbled upon a weird trick that could add up to $1,000 to your monthly Social Security checks, we knew we had to share it with you. To get started, simply go to SocialSecurityFree.com. Yes, it's true. You can take simple steps that could add up to $1,000 to your monthly Social Security payouts. Newsmax says SocialSecurityFree.com is a critical resource for anyone over 50. Go to SocialSecurityFree.com.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to Newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, want a little tongue twister? Say monogamy 3 times fast. Monogamy. I did it. I almost did it. Anyway, Are humans cut out to be monogamous in their life, during their relationships? Joining us now to talk about this issue, which has been widely discussed for a long time, but especially recently, is Pepper Schwartz, a sexologist and professor of sociology at the University of Washington in Seattle, the author of over 50 academic articles, 16 books, including American Couples, The Great Sex Weekend, and Prime, Adventures and Advice on Sex, Love, and the Sensual Years. Okay, so hello, Pepper. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
I appreciate you coming on. Okay, so I think I saw a quote from you saying that you don't believe that humans are, as you put it, a monogamous animal, correct?
Well, I think we're sort of monogamish.
Monogamish.
Yeah. You know, there's many reasons that we toe the line, but not many of them have to do because we think that's the best way to conduct what our urges and desires are. We do it because of our culture, because of the consequences of not being monogamous, of keeping life simple and not dramatic and tumultuous. But in this latest book I did called The Normal Bar, The Surprising Secrets of Extremely Happy Couples, we had some data, this was like 90,000 people, that indicated that most people, if they could get away with it and there'd be no consequences, they would do it.
Okay, but did you? Well, I could see that. But do you believe that it is a good thing for structure and for a society to keep things in place and to keep marriages and relationships in place?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we're a very territorial animal. You know, we think non-monogamy might be fine for us, but not for our partner. So, you know, the thing is that, you know, if we have an affair or a fling, you know, we can handle it, we keep it quiet, etc. But if we find out our partner did, most people say either I'm leaving you or there's a big dust up and they have to go to therapy, or, you know, it ends up breaking them up. And, you know, that's disruptive, particularly if that goes on and on in people's life, particularly when you have kids. So monogamy is a compromise, but it's probably an appropriate one.
Is there less monogamy today? Are there more affairs today because the divorce rate is much higher today? I mean, people attribute it to more women in the workplace. You know, but not only that there's more affairs, but also divorces, you know, because women want other things, different things than they used to want, and all that kind of stuff. The traditional roles are a bit confused and watered down. So what role does monogamy play or not play in separations and breakups and divorces today?
Well, plenty of role. I mean, in the fact that a large number of divorces happen over you know, what people feel is an unfaithful sexual act. Of course, not everybody knows about all of them, so probably more would break up if everybody knew everything. But yeah, they find out, or somebody has a guilty confession. And the thing is that people have a lot more privacy. They have a lot more ways to reach people. I think the internet has made non-monogamy a whole lot easier. And I think they we live a longer time and we have longer relationships. In colonial days, the average length of life was 37 years old. You don't get bored by 37 if you're going to be dead. So I think the idea of, you know, having been through many phases of life, staying healthy longer, younger, you know, in what you can do and what your sexual drive is longer, that all makes it likelier that things are going to happen. And as you say, women's independence makes it that much likelier too. You're not going to do anything if you're going to be thrown out on your butt if somebody discovers something and you can't make a living and you can't protect your children and you have no right to them and da-da-da. That's going to, you know, cool your jets. But if none of that's in place, well, more things are going to happen.
Well, of course, laws don't permit, even if, I mean, there's so much, I don't know if it's called no-fault divorce or whatever,
right.
But it doesn't matter if you have an affair. You can't be thrown out on your butt. As a matter of fact, you could have an affair and break up, and you could still, if you're the woman especially, demand and get half of everything. So it's not like it's not easy, but it's not like they'd be destitute. But let me ask you this, and we're talking to Pepper Schwartz, sexologist, author, professor of sociology at the University of Washington in Seattle. What about, you mentioned the role of the internet, making meeting people easier and less monogamous, but what about the Anthony Weiner type of relationships online, over the internet, tweeting out pictures of himself, etc.? First of all, do you consider those kinds of things to be I don't know, non-monogamous? In other words, if you have an affair, an online sexual affair, but you never meet the person, have you broken with monogamy?
Well, I think the usual definition is, would you want your wife or husband to do it? In other words, if most of us would really find it, we probably would find it mentally ill, and we might support our partner getting help because, what he's doing or some of these things are obviously a pretty grave compulsion and very self-destructive. But if we couldn't label it mental illness, we're probably going to label it non-monogamy, because part of what monogamy is not just forswearing all others, in terms of intercourse, but it's forswearing all others in terms of sexual intimacies. And even if it's all just phone sex, it's not what you'd want. It's not what you'd want your partner to be doing. It's a little bit of the do unto others as you would have done unto you. I mean, the fact is that most of us wouldn't like our partner to be doing that. We would consider it unfaithful.
Okay, one more for you. What is the future of monogamy? Of course, you read...
Fragile.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you read so much now about what goes on in colleges. One particular New York Times story, which was about 10 pages long a couple of weeks ago, talked about women. I'm not blaming it on women, but women, for instance, they are too busy to have the traditional relationship. So now it's acceptable to have these hookups where they just have friends with benefits or friends for sex and blah, blah, blah. How does that translate then into the quote-unquote real world once they leave or get a job and are ready for a relationship? Is that going to be a contributor to less monogamy? And again, the general question, based on our society, where is monogamy headed?
Well, as I said, I think it's fragile for all the reasons we've talked about. And I do think people's past, if not predicts their future, certainly influences it. If you get married with only having had one person in your life, the impulse to step out of that is very difficult. I mean, it's a huge, humongous change. But if you've had lots of lovers and you've learned how to think of sex as recreational rather than relational, something that used to be only male but it's now becoming female, well, I mean, you could imagine, a thrill that wouldn't mean as much as your relationship, but you'd still like to have it. So, yeah, I think hooking up, I don't think it destines people to be non-monogamous. I think people get through with the big hooking up stuff by the late 20s. But there's a body memory, like, I'm bored. Well, wouldn't it be fun too? Or, et cetera.
Gotcha. All right, well, very interesting. Give us the name of the new book again.
Oh, it's called The Normal Bar, The Surprising Secrets of Extremely Happy Couples. And there's a lot of sex, romance, and affection in there in terms of how extremely couples do it. And, of course, as you would imagine, they're more monogamous than not happy couples.
Right, and no pictures of Anthony Weiner's private parts, which is a major selling point.
Blessedly not.
All right, Dr. Pepper Schwartz, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Sexologist, professor of sociology at the University of Washington in Seattle, Pepper Schwartz. Interesting, very interesting. I think, I think people with a moral compass, I would imagine if I had asked her or pressed her, there were probably studies out there that show that, I mean, there are exceptions, but, overall, generally speaking, religious people of faith, people who go to church or synagogue or whatever, might fool around less, might not have an affair, might have less affairs, or might never have an affair. So I don't know, but I think it's about morals. It's about morals, and it's about does anything mean anything to you? When you take a vow to forsake all others and be with one person, does that mean anything to you? If it doesn't, you're going to screw around and have affairs. And if you screw around and have affairs, there's a chance you're not going to have a marriage much longer. I mean, that's the bottom line, and it is what it is. You can't sugarcoat it. And you could say there are all kinds of reasons. Well, if you're unhappy in your marriage, then get out of your marriage and then go screw around. Especially if you got kids. Don't do it while you're married and then blame it on the other partner because you were unhappy or whatever, because, you're still the one committing adultery, the way I see it. And adultery only matters to you if you're religious, if you have any religious values or concerns for what happens to you after this life. So that's, I'm not preaching to you or to anybody. I'm just saying what I feel. Anyway. Okay, we have some very interesting sound bites for you to hear in the final segment on the Thursday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show. Say that 3 times fast on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast. And it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the 2 main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream. Streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
Idea. It's all right. You may all come out and thank her. Come out, wherever you are, and meet the young lady who fell from a star. She fell from the sky, she fell very far, and Kansas, she says, is the name of the star. Kansas, she says, is the name of the star.
Could go on and on with that. I'm sure you could go on and on listening to it. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Margaret Pellegrini, one of the last surviving Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz, died yesterday from complications of a stroke at the age of 89. She was known as the flower pot Munchkin, and as I'm looking at a picture of her, she had a flower pot kind of on her head, which is ergo why they call her the flower pot Munchkin. She spent her later years living in Glendale, Arizona, attending Wizard of Oz-themed events and festivals. She was a regular at the Oztoberfest held each year at the Oz Museum in Kansas, because Kansas, she said, was the name of the star. So the last... Is this one of the last surviving Munchkins? Okay, and I'm looking to see. She would have turned 90 in September. She was 16 when she acted alongside Judy Garland in the film, which was made in 1939. Back in March of this year, during a promotion for Oz, she told a Glendale news station that she was paid $50 a week for her work in the movie, and that was a substantial salary at the time. It was still less than they paid Toto. Toto 2? Toto 2, the dog. He got paid more than I did, she said. He got $125 a week, and I only got $50. All right, well, you know, he had a bigger role than she did. She was one of only 3 living Munchkins. Only 95-year-old Ruth Robinson Ducini, who played a villager, and 93-year-old Jerry Marin, who played a member of the Lollipop Guild, remain. And they both live in assisted living homes and no longer travel to events. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Okay. Let's get to Joe Scarborough, shall we? Big conservative Joe Scarborough. Just ask him. He'll tell you. Here we have a couple of Scarborough issues. I want you to listen. This is the head of the RNC, Reince Priebus, who laid down the law to NBC and CNN about a Hillary movie. This will be cut one. Here we go.
If your company is so interested in spending millions of dollars in promoting Hillary Clinton when they know darn well that Hillary Clinton and the people around her are gearing up for a presidential election, then that is a choice that as a news agency that's trying to be, or at least claims to be fair, ought to stop in their tracks and start to think about what the effects of that are. If you don't care, or if CNN doesn't care, that's fine, then I don't care either. We move on without CNN and we move on without NBC. It's pretty simple. The sun doesn't rise and set with CNN and NBC.
Okay, so good for him. That was to Campbell Brown on, not Campbell Brown, I keep calling it Campbell Brown. What's her name on CNN? She does a 7 o'clock show. She can't read the prompter. She's pregnant. I forget her name. Anyway, she once called George Bush a gorilla or an ape when he was president. Lovely. Anyway, so here's the reaction now from Mika Brzezinski on Morning Joe and Joe Scarborough. And Mika can't understand what's going on and talks about Fox. And Joe, he must have gotten permission. You know, he must have, from Phil Griffin, he must have, oh, Phil, can I trash MSNBC and NBC just a little teensy bitsy itsy witsy bit today? Please, Phil, please, because I'm really looking bad. Okay, but just a little bitty, itsy bitsy, teensy weensy, Joe. Okay, good, thanks, Phil. So here's how it sounded, cut number 4.
What until Reince Priebus is demanding that Fox do some really great pieces on Democrats and documentaries, I'm not sure it's completely a perfect argument.
Well, what about MSNBC?
Well, what about it? Look at our show. I'm only speaking for our show.
No, but I mean, if you look at the prime time for both networks.
But if you're asking CNN to, quote, balance things out, and you have a network that basically feeds your candidates, I mean, it really does, and airs them and puts them on and then hires them, I don't know. There's a whole other conversation that nobody's having here. Having said that, I think they've generated a really good conversation about the blurred lines.
I'm sorry, I can't.
He now wants every other network.
I can't be quiet here. I can't be quiet here. What do you think MSNBC is at night?
It's not the same at all.
It is exactly the same.
I don't think so.
Well, of course you don't think so, because you're a Democrat.
Yeah, okay. But that's as far as it'll go. That's big conservative Joe Scarborough shoring up those conservative credentials. In fact, he did it the other night, bashing Ted Cruz on, not the other night, the other morning, on Monday's edition of Morning Joe. Was it Monday? I don't know if it was Monday's edition. It was earlier in the week. He defended himself against charges from people like moi, that would be me, who believe that he's a liberal or a rhino, and has, changed his whole direction to keep his job by claiming that he had a 95% ACU, American Conservative Union rating. Of course, that was 10 years ago, before he became what he is, but nonetheless, it doesn't stop him. Listen to cut 23.
But what's so interesting, Frank, is I'm hearing from conservative House members, that have 95, 96, 97% ACU conservative ratings, that are saying of Ted Cruz, Sky is making our life a living hell by pushing things that will never work, only strengthen Obama, and they keep our people on the phone all the time saying, and what they're angry about is that he's doing it all to build his mailing list, so he can raise money and become a national candidate, and basically the hell, not only with the Republican Party, the hell with the conservative movement. And for anybody in talk radio or in the blogosphere that wants to say, oh, Joe, he's just an MSNBC liberal, with a 95% ACU rating.
That 95% ACU rating was over 10 years ago. That's when he was a congressman. I was filling in for Joe Scarborough in 2002 at MSNBC. So he was already out of Congress 10, 11 years ago. He's now a completely different political animal, completely different. So he still doesn't have this ACU 95% rating. He doesn't have any rating. He hasn't had one in over a decade. But he brings that up as if he still has it. Phony baloney. Now listen to phony baloney rock and roll. Joe Scarborough comes out with Mika Brzezinski on the View wearing orange pants. And Joy Behar says, you look so gay. Here's cut number 9.
You look great. Oh,
Oh, they're very Hampton pants.
The pink pants? No, stop. You are a number.
You know, I was walking in here. I'm on Upper West Side, and I'm thinking this is a very, you're very enlightened. You're very progressive. I go past, and I'm kissing everybody, because that's what you do. The sisterhood. Need some kissing. Go around. And she goes, you sure look gay in those pants.
No, I happen to like a gay look. If there's anything wrong with that.
Well, maybe I do, too.
Maybe I do, too. So he's wearing pink, orange pants or something. But here's the deal. Joy Behar says you look gay in those pants. Now, if a conservative said to somebody who looked a certain way, dressed a certain way, acted a certain way, talked a certain way on national TV when he came out or she came out to the stage and said, you look gay, I don't think that would fly. Hypocrisy 101.1. Right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.